kind of want to get into more exciting stuff today, like the Epstein files. The coincidence theorists cope in pretending they didn't shame. They didn't absolutely shame and call everyone crazy for believing some of these theories propagated over the past few decades that are now substantiated within official Epstein document files. You know what's weird though? When Epstein was first arrested, not first arrested, recently arrested before his alleged death a number of years ago, relatively recently. And I would think that would have been the end of widespread coincidence theorists. And yet, there are still goofs, like full-time goofs. Shout out Alex Boge on Twitter. I mean, there's goofs like Alex Boge just cope spiraling, pretending, like, in their corruption denial, pretending like there's no conspiracies that are true, etc. Just humiliation cope spiraling for days on end in single threads. I mean, it's hilarious. Hilarious. Like, some of these humiliation fetishists... Shout out Craig. I mean, Craig of Fight the Flat Earth has single-handedly inspired an entire generation of humiliation fetishists who are just, they're just so happy and gleeful to humiliate themselves, proving their mental disabilities and deficiencies full-time on the interwebs. So, shout out Craig as well. I mean, it just... I mean, Comedy Central can't hold a candle to these cope spiraling goofs. Yeah, the Ant One started talking about Gabriela Rico Jimenez. Yes, I'll briefly touch upon that today, mostly to expose coincidence theorist psychology, the mental weakness of coincidence theorists. Because they're so mentally weak, it's easier to bootleg and put their blind faith in corrupt authorities and pretend that they would never do these horrible things that whistleblowers have been blowing the whistle on for decades and decades, if not centuries, because they're just too mentally weak to confront the fact that evil people exist and they don't act alone. And you would think post-Epstein era this wouldn't really be, but then again, you still got the Alex Boges of the world. Pinto Sack says, anything interesting in the new record drop? There's a lot, actually. I mean, they dropped, well, how many was it millions of files? I mean, obviously, you know, going through all of them is tough, but, you know, there's people hard at work, and they've highlighted a few that I'll go over. Okay, let's see. All right, where are we at here? Let's get some receipts into the Epstein files. This is really dark stuff, so... Actually, let's see here. All right, really dark stuff here. This is the model whistleblower. Mexican model Gabriela Rico Jimenez vanished after saying this outside Monterrey Hotel. She was ranting about ritual murders and cannibalism in front of Mexican Carlos Slim, the guy that actually funded the Sound of Freedom. Yeah, a lot of insiders here, very shady stuff here. And I remember all the coincidence theorists were in their typical cope spirals, pretending she just did a lot of drugs. As if that would somehow preclude her. Like, as if there's some magic Dungeons and Dragons spell where if you do a lot of drugs and get really drunk, that'll make sure you will never be put in any kind of situation with evil people who are doing rituals. Like, all you have to do is drink a lot, do a lot of drugs, and then it becomes an impossibility that you're ever in a situation where they're committing any kind of rituals. That's coincidence theorist cope. I mean, these goofs are brain dead. Absolutely brain dead goofs. So, yeah.
¡Eres humano!
let's find the full clip here. This is only a shorter clip, and then we'll get into the Epstein files, verifying all of this. It's dark stuff. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but yeah, dark stuff. Welcome, Clark Rice. Brianna says, lots of people have said that the layout of Epstein Island, specifically the different rooms, were designed to disorient victims and make them seem delusional if they were to speak out. Magic Guarded Mike says, Chuck rules, in my opinion. Just saying Jet Li is underrated because his martial art isn't really fighting, they say. Nah, Chuck's a bum. Chuck Liddell is probably the least talented champion there's ever been. But that was kind of his strength, because he was using no talent as talent. Alright, let me get why can't I get the full video? YouTube is being weird. Alright. Okay, the people where you come from are crazy. They killed a lot of people. Death to that kind of human. And you could hear the despair in her voice, the absolute despair. You already took me there? What? Like, what are the cops doing here? I do have a deep dive prepared on this. I don't know if I want to go through it all here. The translation is on the screen. And you know, it's kind of hard to figure out, like, this fat cop. Why are cops always fat? So this fat cop, no, she's no Sammo Hung. I don't know if necessarily they're in on it. Not just not being in on it. I would guess that they're so mentally weak, they would have to convince themselves that she's lying and she's crazy. Luis, esta es la triste realidad. And look at these goofs saying that she's attacking the police officer. The police officer is attempting to kidnap her. Where's the attack on the officer? The officer, I don't know if Mexican cops are armed. This video is blurry. So this giant fat cop is approaching her. She's advancing on her, getting in her face, trying to grab her. And yes, she did fight back. Look at that, is a fight back. So if some kind of fat terrorist in a costume tries to kidnap you and you fight back, that's considered assault on the officer? Wow. She tried to attack the police officer? Well, the police officer was attacking her and trying to kidnap her. That's dark stuff. I mean, you could see the propaganda spin immediately. Supposedly, she also specifically named George W. Bush as being involved. And supposedly all hospital records disappeared. Now, I do have some interesting receipts here, because a lot of coincidence theorist goofs were pretending this was all a made-up non-story, etc. Brianna says, crazy to think that most of her info online was completely wiped after this. Well, that's what archives are for, my friend, and I managed to get some of them. Clark says, if there's an active group eating humans, cops would definitely be involved. I don't know about all the cops on the bottom, though. I mean, maybe like the top-ranking ones, but I don't know if I don't think everybody on the bottom is in on it. So there's some interesting Epstein files released. Let's look at some of them here. Interview purported victim, August 28th, 2019. While on this yacht, he witnessed African American males having expletive with white blonde females, all of who were bleeding during intercourse. He was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar, but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, individuals eating the feces from these intestines. He was also expletive by George Bush 1. Victim disclosed he was escorted to the FBI building by Michael Moore, who is the creator of True Pundit, described by multiple online sources as a conspiracy-driven news website that attempts to paint the FBI in a bad light. Moore has a criminal record as a result of an FBI investigation, as you would expect him to if he's blowing the whistle on them, right? Okay. That's dark and disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Coincidence theorists will, I guess, pretend he's just lying. This is another weird one here. December 18th, 2009. Subject Kenya on the plane now with Maddie. We are about to take off for Amsterdam to Nairobi. We landed the morning of the 19th in Amsterdam, late evening. And late evening of the 19th in Nairobi. On Sunday morning, we fly into the bush to Cotter's Camp in the Masai Mara, then to Sasab. Okay, we cannot thank you enough. Yet another life experience. If the Maasai warriors don't eat us, the pirates from Somalia will. Coming to PB to see you in January, taking photos. We have a ball and think of you all the time. Can bring a little baby back for you or two. Boys or girls, so Madonna. Okay. Wow. That's messed up. Raised by Gypsies. If you just search her name, the video will come up. Papa Pump says, Bruce, do you use the Wayback Machine? Yeah, I also built an AI that was using Google Cache. And apparently that stopped working for some reason. I saved quite a bit of stuff, but, alright, maybe I should drop... Trying to find. I had a few smoking guns on Gabriela Rico Jimenez's case. I don't know how many people. I might as well do a little bit of a tease here, because the coincidence theorists were claiming that nobody knew her and all of that. But, so apparently she had a friend. I don't know if I want to say her name. So apparently the background stories was that they both were used as models and for these parties in Paris, London, New York, and Brazil, and they had escaped, but they were held against their will. Because if anybody's familiar with Epstein and how he worked and how they recruited models, they weren't kept chained in a dungeon. They were freely going out and even trying to recruit other models. So they were able to get away, but obviously, there's a lot of resources. These scumbags are rich. They have resources. They have law enforcement in their pocket. And if they care enough, they get these people back. Yeah, there's actually a longer video as well. Let's see. Supposedly, there was a lawyer who talked to her has an account online too. I have a copy of this account just in text, so I can't verify that this happened. But this individual, on the full podcast, I'll go through the full account and I'll post the text. But apparently, he said that there were some well-dressed people came and they removed him, who was the lawyer, and they took her. And they told him it was not his business. But they did ask him what she told him. He told them, because he was fearing for her safety, he said that she's insane and he didn't understand anything she said. Then the creepiest part, I'll read this part. So he went to the officers of the ministry, told them about the issue, and he said that the girl's family requested more information. He said they laughed at him and told him she does not exist, she never existed, and you do not work here. So this is a lawyer. Again, if this is true, this is a lawyer who worked here. He basically is instantly fired for bringing it up. He claimed he got a shiver and left the whole city. He had a feeling that what happened and what the girl said was true. She also mentioned that someone shot her friend. See if that name was public. Clark asks, Bruce, what do you think is the wealth threshold to get into this kind of thing? I mean, there's poor people. What do you mean getting into it? Like getting into it at the very top? Or just participating on the lower level, like getting invited to Diddy parties or something? I mean, low-level people in the entertainment industry actually get invited occasionally, not to the top, not to anything top-ranking, but I don't know. This is a really creepy account. I mean, there's actually a lot more information. There's a lot more information because I don't know if I want to say this other person's name. I don't know how deep I want to go on this podcast. I am asked quite a bit of information on Gabriela Rico Jimenez because there's a lot here, and there's another individual tied to her that could kind of substantiate a lot of this stuff. So she was sent to a psychiatric center in Buenos Aires, supposedly. There was a news story about it. But again, people trying to get records say none of the records exist, which is interesting. There were a couple of people who actually looked into this. But yeah, I mean, this is just such a. It's really sad, and it's pretty like a lot of coincidence theorists. I mean, they're just basically traitors to humanity. Like, imagine the despair on this woman's face and hallucinating that she's just making it up or crazy, and that evil people would never be involved in evil things, and they would only act alone. Oh, to get on the island, Dragon Tracer was saying, yeah, you probably have to be pretty prominent to get on the island unless you're one of the girls. Or boys, I don't know. There's actually an interesting podcast, The Forgotten Women of Juarez. Hundreds of women have gone missing. Some bodies are found with strange symbols carved on their body, etc. So, I mean, there's crazy stuff there, and a lot of officials who actually have tried investigating ended up dead as well. Crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah, it is curious. Certain conspiracies like this, the Miami Mall incident, like where all the information is scrubbed for some reason. Like, look at all the other conspiracies and crazy people making crazy claims about having Bigfoot's baby. None of that is scrubbed from the internet. But there's just a few key cases, like this woman here. Everything is scrubbed from the internet regarding her. People trying to say she never existed, she was never a model, etc. Now, I did find information that she had a friend who corroborated the identity, they're modeling together, etc. I'll get into that on the deep dive. I guess I should probably do that episode soon since we touched upon it here. But think about what kind of a traitor to humanity you have to be to just deny the suffering of innocent people. So supposedly, like, she was actually a Mexican model who was getting popular. So this isn't some random amateur who had like one shoot. Apparently, she had been traveling internationally, and there's corroboration of this from one of her friends with certain receipts. Not a lot of receipts, not a lot that I could find, but some receipts. And so she wasn't like, obviously this big international model that everybody knew about, but she was like a model on the rise. And then she just disappeared. And the story is supposedly that she was taken to Buenos Aires, some kind of psychiatric facility. Not in Argentina, but in Mexico City, there's a Buenos Aires facility. And you know what's kind of crazy? So the coincidence theorists scum. So basically, she acted crazy outside of a hotel, and then she's going to spend the rest of her life in the psychiatric facility because of this. That's kind of weird. You can find people having meltdowns outside of nightclubs far worse than this, and they're not institutionalized for the rest of their life. Allegedly, that's if that's what happened to her. If there's no record. But the fact that everything about her was completely scrubbed from the internet and gets constantly removed every time she's brought up. The full transcript of what she said is really heartbreaking. And of course, there are cartels that do engage in cannibalism. So all the goof coincidence theorists saying that this is completely impossible. And again, obviously, these Epstein documents are pretty interesting as well. There were a couple of videos made about her that have not been removed on YouTube. But what's interesting is if she's just a random person having a breakdown, why would these random men in suits come to take her away and fire the lawyer? Just really crazy stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, Steven Seagal was not there at the time to dole out well-deserved justice. But that's it for this edition. Plenty more to come. We got some logical analyses to finish up and deal with as well. So I'll catch all you guys next time. Thanks again for joining us. This is Bruce McGuire signing off.